Hey guys, happy Friday. You all did an awesome job on the assignment for yesterday, watching the Jack Abramoff video. So kudos to you. I think you guys did an awesome job. All right, let's wrap up this week with a video lecture on lobbying. What is a lobbyist? It's someone who communicates on behalf of a paying client with officials in either the legislative or the executive branch in an attempt to influence legislation. So lobbyists don't only lobby Congress, they also lobby that other part of the Iron Triangle, oftentimes different organizations and agencies within the federal bureaucracy. How big is the lobbying industry? Take a look at this, you guys. This is the amount of money that is being spent by some of the top lobbying clients. So you can see the United States Chamber of Commerce is at the top, spending about $136 million a year lobbying different organizations. Some of you guys mentioned that the United States Chamber of Commerce would be an interest group that maybe you were interested in being part of, or maybe weren't interested, and you guys hit it right on the money. This is a very powerful interest group that's paying a lot of lobbyists to work on their behalf to pass legislation that would favor its members. Lockheed Martin, you guys have probably heard of them, Boeing, AT&T, Google, Pharmaceutical Research and Manufacturers of America, all sorts of things. And each year this does change, so just know if you guys do some Google searching, you could find some similar pieces of data, and it does change from year to year. Now, speaking of year to year, this is the number of lobbyists over time. So from 1998 all the way to 2017, you can see that this number of lobbyists has kind of ebbed and flowed, but it remains in like the two-digit thousands, if that makes sense. Let's move me back over here. This is a chart showing the median lobbyist revenue by lobbyist background, and this is in 2012 dollars. So you can see over here the blue is going to represent lobbyists who worked in government beforehand, not including Congress. And then the yellow would be lobbyists that basically went through that revolving door from Congress right into lobbying. The dotted line shows you what the average member of Congress gets as a salary. And then the orange is lobbyists who don't have government experience and what they're getting as a median salary. Now, if you remember from the video yesterday, Jack Abramoff was getting, what did they say, like $20 million a year, some years, in pay, which is incredible. So no, the median is just kind of like the middle amount. So it peaked at 2004 at about $350,000 a year. That's a very pretty salary. I want you guys to take some of what you learned in the video yesterday to help you identify some potential abuses by lobbyists. What laws regulate lobbyists? So back in 1946, there was an act called the Federal Regulation of Lobbying Act, which required groups that have direct contact with Congress to register. And that's where those numbers on that slide, a few slides back, like 12,000 lobbyists, they know that there's 12,000 because you have to register as a lobbyist if you are going to have any sort of direct contact with any Congress member. And then it also requires quarterly financial reports in terms of how much the lobbyists are spending on different things, as well as a few other requirements. And then in 1995, you had the Lobbying Disclosure Act, which was reaffirming that 1946 regulation. It also broadened the definition of lobbyists by adding the executive branch, because a lot of lobbyists were getting around the registration requirement by just talking with different organizations in the bureaucracy instead of working directly with Congress. So they just went over to the other branch. All right. Other laws that have been passed include the 2007 Honest Leadership and Open Government Act. The three things that came out of this, you can see right there: more transparency, suspended travel, and outlawed gifts and meals. So number 3, you can see that this is where a lot of politicians will kind of let lobbyists take them out to fancy sporting events and meals and all sorts of things, and be gifted all of those different favors in exchange for some sort of favor in the legislative process. And this act outlawed right out gifts and meals, but as you guys learned in the video last night, if you stand up while you're eating, that was one loophole. So as long as you're standing up, the lobbyist could still wine and dine a client. And so you can see there's still some problems with that. The Federal Election Commission, this is a commission that is nonpartisan, and this also helps to regulate lobbying because a lot of times lobbyists are working, as you guys read in your textbook last night, they're working to try and get certain people in Congress reelected. And so that comes into play. There's regulations that you report quarterly how much money your campaign is receiving and from whom, and so that is another regulatory body that would tie into the regulation of lobbying. Bribery is always illegal, so anytime there's questionable bribery, there's also the risk that someone could go to jail. Why can't lobbying of Congress be banned? So this was kind of a question that I was alluding to on the very last question of your assignment from yesterday, in terms of like what you think should be done about lobbying. But I want you to think deeply. Why can't Congress ban it? Or why haven't they banned it? And why is it so difficult for Congress to develop clear standards for legislative lobbying? So consider how voters, like you and me, interest group members who are either paying membership dues to be part of the NRA or something of that matter, or the Sierra Club, etc., lobbyists and legislators, how do each of them view lobbying? And then use that to develop your answer to why it's so difficult to develop clear standards for legislative lobbying. All right. I'm going to go to bed now because it's past my bedtime. We will see you guys on Monday. Enjoy your weekend and reach out if you guys have any questions. The only other thing I want to make you guys aware of is that starting next week, teachers are implementing virtual office hours, and those office hours are set for different departments. So take a look at the Google Classroom to see when mine are. Since I teach 4 different subjects, our block for AP Government is only like 10 minutes long. So take a look at that, but those are optional virtual office hours where you could jump on Zoom to ask me any questions, connect about different things, that sort of thing. All right, bye.